World War II, a global conflict that engulfed nations and continents, drawing in millions of soldiers and civilians alike. But behind the front lines, another battle raged, a secret war, fought in the shadows and hidden from the public eye. Britain's intelligence agencies fought in the shadows. They gathered secrets, intercepted communications, and sabotaged the enemy's plans. Their work was dangerous and often went unrecognized, yet their contributions were crucial to the Allied victory. Without their efforts, the outcome of the war could have been very different. But these agencies also fought each other. Rivalries ran deep, fueled by differing agendas and the high stakes of wartime espionage. Trust was in short supply. Agents often had to look over their shoulders, wary of both enemy spies and their own colleagues. This is the story of their secret war, a war fought with deception, cunning, and bravery. The stakes were incredibly high. Every piece of intelligence could tip the balance. The fate of nations hung in the balance. Leaders depended on the information provided by these shadow warriors. Every decision could make the difference between victory and defeat. The pressure was immense. In this pressure cooker of wartime espionage, rivalries were almost inevitable. The competition was fierce, but they could also be deadly. Mistakes were costly, and the price of failure was often paid in lives. MI5, Britain's domestic intelligence agency, tasked with protecting the nation from within, their enemies, spies, saboteurs, and Nazi sympathizers. During the war, MI5's role was vital. They uncovered enemy agents, they foiled plots, they kept Britain safe. One of MI5's most famous operations was the double-cross system. They turned captured German spies. These double agents fed false information back to Germany. This deception proved crucial in Allied victories. But MI5's successes were often achieved in the face of internal rivalries. MI6, Britain's Foreign Intelligence Service, operating in the shadows across the globe. Their mission, gather intelligence on enemy plans and intentions. Their work was shrouded in secrecy. Their agents often operated alone, deep behind enemy lines. MI6's successes were often unsung. Their failures rarely made the headlines, but their work was essential to the war effort. They provided vital information about German troop movements, technological developments, and strategic plans. However, MI6's relationship with other agencies was often strained. Section 4. Saboteurs and Secret Soldiers, the SOE. The Special Operations Executive, or SOE, was a very different kind of intelligence agency. Formed in July 1940, it was tasked with conducting espionage, sabotage, and reconnaissance in occupied Europe against the Axis powers. Unlike traditional military units, the SOE operated in the shadows, relying on stealth and cunning. Their mission: sabotage and subversion. They aimed to disrupt the enemy's operations through any means necessary, often employing unconventional tactics that traditional armies wouldn't dare to use. They worked with resistance movements in occupied Europe. These brave men and women were the lifeline of the SOE, providing crucial local knowledge and support. They trained agents to operate behind enemy lines. This training was rigorous and intense, preparing them for the harsh realities of covert warfare. Their work was dangerous, but their impact was significant. Every mission carried the risk of capture, torture, or death, but the agents pressed on, driven by a sense of duty and patriotism. The SOE's agents were often ordinary people, but they were thrust into extraordinary circumstances. Teachers, farmers, and shopkeepers became saboteurs and spies, showing incredible bravery and resilience. They parachuted into enemy territory. They blew up bridges. These acts of sabotage were designed to cripple the enemy's infrastructure and hinder their war efforts. They disrupted German supply lines. Their bravery was unmatched. By targeting supply routes, they created chaos and confusion, making it difficult for the enemy to maintain their operations. But their relationship with MI6 was often fraught with tension. The two agencies had different methods and objectives, leading to conflicts and disagreements. Despite this, the SOE's contributions to the war effort were invaluable, leaving a lasting legacy of courage and ingenuity. Section 5. Clashes of cloak and dagger. When agencies collided. These three agencies were supposed to work together, but their relationship was often marked by rivalry. They competed for resources. They distrusted each other's motives. They sometimes even worked at cross purposes. One example of this rivalry was the Venlo incident. In 1939, MI6 officers were lured into a trap by the Germans. They were captured. MI5 blamed MI6 for the debacle. They felt MI6 had been careless. This incident poisoned relations between the two agencies. Section 6. The price of paranoia, how rivalries impacted the war. These rivalries had real consequences. They hampered intelligence sharing, they led to duplicated efforts, and in some cases, they may have even cost lives. The lack of trust between agencies meant that vital information was not always shared. This could have disastrous consequences. For example, if MI5 had shared its knowledge of a particular German agent with SOE, it might have prevented the capture and execution of several SOE agents. Section 7. Lessons from the Shadows. The legacy of interagency conflict. The rivalries between Britain's secret agencies offer valuable lessons. These agencies, often working in the shadows, were not just fighting the enemy, but also competing with each other. Lessons about the importance of trust. The dangers of secrecy. The internal conflicts sometimes led to missed opportunities and even failures. And the need for cooperation. When agencies did manage to work together, the results were often spectacular, leading to significant breakthroughs. In the aftermath of the war, efforts were made to improve cooperation between agencies. The realization dawned that unity was essential for national security. Clearer lines of communication were established. Protocols were put in place to ensure that information flowed more freely and accurately between different branches. Mechanisms for information sharing were put in place. These mechanisms were designed to prevent the kind of miscommunication and rivalry that had plagued the war years. The lessons learned from the rivalries of World War II continue to shape the world of intelligence gathering today. Modern agencies still draw on these historical experiences to navigate their complex relationships. The secret war within the war may be over, but the need for vigilance, for cooperation, and for trust remains as important as ever. These principles are the bedrock of effective intelligence work. The shadows of the past still hold valuable lessons for the present. As we move forward, the legacy of interagency conflict serves as a reminder of the importance of unity and collaboration in the face of common threats.